Today, an FDA approval in acute myeloid leukemia, a new drug application submitted in multiple myeloma, encouraging results in a chronic lymphocytic leukemia trial, a delayed decision on a biosimilar, a clinical hold on CAR T-cell therapy trials, and a European approval in bladder cancer. Welcome to Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus. The FDA has approved gemtuzumab ozogamicin for the treatment of adults with newly diagnosed CD33-positive acute myeloid leukemia. The antibody-drug conjugate was also approved for the treatment of patients aged 2 years and older with CD33-positive relapsed/refractory AML. The decision follows the recommendation of the FDA's Oncologic Drugs Advisory Committee, which voted 6-1 recommending approval during a meeting this past July. The decision was based on data from a number of trials, including the Alpha 0701, AML 19, and MyloFrance-1.1 trials. In Alpha 0701, gemtuzumab ozogamicin was associated with a statistically significant improvement in event-free survival of 7.8 months. However, the drug was not associated with a significant improvement in overall survival. In study AML 19, the agent was associated with a reduction in the risk of death by 31%, as well as a median OS of 4.9 months versus 3.6 months in the control arm. The label for gemtuzumab ozogamicin includes a boxed warning for hepatotoxicity, including veno-occlusive disease or sinusoidal obstruction syndrome. In multiple myeloma, the FDA has accepted a supplemental new drug application seeking to add overall survival data from the Phase 3 Endeavor trial to the label for carfilzomib for use in patients with relapsed or refractory disease. The primary OS analysis from Endeavor showed that carfilzomib reduced the risk of death by 21% versus bortezomib. Moreover, carfilzomib plus dexamethasone was found to extend overall survival by 7.6 months versus bortezomib combined with dexamethasone. Currently, carfilzomib is approved in combination with dexamethasone or with lenalidomide plus dexamethasone for the treatment of patients with relapsed or refractory multiple myeloma who have received 1 to 3 lines of therapy. The treatment is also approved as a monotherapy for relapsed refractory patients who have received 1 or more lines of therapy. The Prescription Drug User Fee Act action date for the FDA's decision on the label update is April 30th, 2018. The PI3K delta and gamma inhibitor duvelisib was found to reduce the risk of disease progression or death by 48% versus ofatumumab in patients with relapsed refractory chronic lymphocytic leukemia or small lymphocytic lymphoma who were enrolled in the Phase 3 DUO trial. Findings showed that in the overall population, the median progression-free survival with duvelisib was 3.4 months longer compared with ofatumumab. In patients with 17p deletion, the median PFS benefit was 3.7 months. The median PFS was 13.3 months in the duvelisib arm compared with 9.9 months in the ofatumumab arm. In patients with a 17p deletion, the median PFS was 12.7 versus 9.0 months. Verastem, the manufacturer of duvelisib, plans to present the complete findings from DUO at a future medical meeting and submit the data for publication in a peer-reviewed journal. The FDA has extended its decision deadline by 3 months on a biologics license application for the trastuzumab biosimilar MYL14010. Under the new time frame, a final decision is expected on or before December 3, 2017. The company submitted the BLA to the FDA in November 2016 with an original action deadline of September 3, 2017. In July 2017, the FDA's Oncologic Drugs Advisory Committee voted 16-0 to recommend approval of MYL14010. The FDA notified Mylan and Biocon, the developers of the biosimilar, that the extension was made to review clarificatory information submitted to them as a part of the application review process. If approved, MYL14010 would be licensed in the United States as a treatment for adjuvant breast cancer, metastatic breast cancer, and metastatic gastric cancer, the same indications as trastuzumab. Genentech, the manufacturer of trastuzumab, holds an exclusive license for the metastatic gastric cancer indication. The companies cannot market the drug for that purpose until the exclusive license expires. The BLA includes Phase 3 results from the 2-part multi-center randomized heritage study in which patients were randomized to MYL-14010 plus a taxane or trastuzumab with a taxane. Results showed that in Part 2 of the study, the difference in overall response rate was 6%, and progression-free survival was nearly identical between the two arms. Median overall survival had not been met in either group. A clinical hold has been placed by the FDA on 2 phase 1 trials exploring the gene-edited allogeneic CAR T-cell therapy, UCART123. The decision follows the death of a 78-year-old man being treated for blastic plasmacytoid dendritic cell neoplasm who experienced cytokine release syndrome. A 58-year-old woman with AML who was also being treated with the therapy developed CRS. However, her condition resolved. Both patients were the first to be treated in their respective trials. UCART123 is being developed by the Paris-based biopharmaceutical company Cellectis as a treatment for BPDCN and AML. Unlike Novartis's autologous CAR T-cell therapy, tisagenlecleucel, UCART's process is allogeneic and theoretically could treat any patient using T-cells harvested from any donor. The off-the-shelf allogeneic process may be faster, easier to develop, and likely significantly less expensive than autologous CAR T-cell therapy. Novartis has set the price for a one-time treatment with tisagenlecleucel at $475,000. In a press release, Cellectis reported that it is working with the FDA in order to resume the trials with an amended protocol, including a reduced dose of UCART123 cells. In urothelial carcinoma, the European Commission has approved pembrolizumab for the treatment of patients with locally advanced or metastatic disease who have received prior platinum-containing chemotherapy or who are not eligible for cisplatin-containing chemotherapy. The frontline approval for cisplatin-ineligible patients was based on the results of the Phase 2 KEYNOTE-052 trial, in which the overall response rate was 29% with a clinical benefit rate of 47%. The second-line approval was based on the Phase 3 KEYNOTE-045 study, in which pembrolizumab reduced the risk of death by 27% versus chemotherapy in patients with advanced urothelial carcinoma whose disease progressed after prior treatment. The European Commission's decision follows a positive recommendation from the European Medicines Agency's Committee for Medicinal Products for Human Use. The PD-1 inhibitor can now be marketed for these 2 new indications in all 28 EU member states, plus Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. This week, we sat down with Dr. Mark Soberman, president of the Association of Community Cancer Centers, to discuss his presidential theme of next-generation multidisciplinary care for patients with cancer.
Every president has the privilege of specifying a theme for their presidency. Mine is next-generation multidisciplinary cancer care. Multidisciplinary care has been a cornerstone of cancer care for a number of years, but the definition of multidisciplinary cancer care has been changing as cancer care has become more complex. Traditionally, the multidisciplinary team was consisting of the medical oncologist, the radiation oncologist, and the surgical oncologist. Now, it's important that as care models change, we need to focus our care on the patient and their medical condition, right, and their diagnosis, because patients don't come to us with a diagnosis of medical oncology or chemotherapy, radiation oncology, surgical oncology. They have lung cancer, they have ovarian cancer, they have breast cancer. And oftentimes, we have a need for patients to be seen by multiple different specialists, and that's been the traditional model for multidisciplinary care. A few years ago, we started bringing nurse navigators or other types of navigators onto the multidisciplinary team in order to help patients coordinate that care and to help them with that journey and provide a point of contact and that overall care coordination. We then brought in social work because patients need psychosocial support. They need access to additional resources over and above what the providers can bring to the table. Now many cancer programs are bringing in financial navigators because of the complexities of health coverage and the cost of certain cancer therapies, now trying to help patients navigate that and mitigate any financial toxicity. But with targeted therapies and looking at molecular markers for patients who receive certain targeted therapies, and now with immunotherapy, we start to get into the need for the pathologist to be part of the team because of all the sophisticated testing that needs to be done. Potentially a geneticist for genetic counseling or a genetic counselor. You get an immunologist sometimes involved, and then you're getting into, with the immunotherapies, we have new toxicities which we never knew we were going to see before. And so now you have patients who might need a rheumatologist, a gastroenterologist, a cardiologist to help manage the side effects of treatment, where previously the oncologist could do all of that. So looking to bring all of those folks together to care for the patient and to center the care around the patient is really important going forward.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching Enclave News Network. I'm Gina Columbus.